I have to play Shadow the Hedgehog? Damn.
Do you remember me? Capture you and set you free. I am one of me.
Here's a little bit of a personal history lesson for you guys. Last year was not my first attempt at making reviews. I did text reviews through Channel Awesome's blogging function for about a year before YouTube, but long before that, in like 2010 or 11, I was going to make a video review, and the game was Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm glad that I didn't go through with it. I did the classic camera in front of the screen for footage. I probably didn't write the script very well, and I had yet to learn what was good and what wasn't. I thought the game was good, because I was stupid.
And I'm not the only stupid one here either. The reason Sega and Sonic Team were convinced enough that fans wanted this to make it was because fans did. So many kids that wanted to be seen as mature and edgy loved the ambivalence towards good and evil Shadow and wanted Sonic to have a gun. But kids are dumb, and you shouldn't make business decisions based on them beyond, they like what we've already done, let's do it more. Remember the joy and color of Sonic up to this point? Gone, because we need to get that edge. But not too edgy. 10-year-olds need to be able to play it. The story is non-existent. I mean, there is one with a couple very nice CG cutscenes, but there's no reason to pay attention to it. You'd get nothing out of it. Part of this is the blame of the morality system, where you get to choose the mission you do, whether it's hero, neutral, or dark. You could be taking a completely heroic route, but nothing's stopping you from jumping off the deep end randomly. Now you're evil and the game can't compensate for that. Suddenly, you're in a new location without any lead-in, characters enter and exit the plot, and loyalties change at random. But even if you were taking a comprehensible path, it's just badly written. Shadow's still suffering from the amnesia of Sonic Heroes when a totally not evil alien named Black Doom tells him that he agreed to bring Black Doom the Chaos Emeralds. Shadow, again suffering from amnesia, believes this and doesn't find it suspicious. Past this point, it all becomes a splattering of unrelated scenes leading to 10 equally unsatisfying endings, at which point the final story kicks in and Shadow, much like the audience, gives up on discovering his past. Then he wins.
Whoa.
The terrible lines aren't helped by the voice acting. In contrast to my Black Knight review, this was the first game with the 4Kids cast when they'd only had 2 years since the start of Sonic X to hone their characters. Even less for Jason Griffith's Shadow. And the results ain't pretty.
Woohoo! Now we're talking! Bring it on!
I'd say it's a step above Sonic Adventure, but you should know that isn't saying much. Oh yeah, Black Doom is voiced by Sean Schemmel.
Find the 7 Chaos Emeralds.
I don't even know how he does that voice, but I like the way it sounds. Certainly a step up from a previous villain role.
You defeat me? All by yourself?
This guy seems to be a real dumbass, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick a new class president.
Hey, I'm not a dumbass! Give me the chalk!
Presentation isn't much better in the other areas. The music actually isn't bad. It's kind of fun when it's in the mood of the level, but it's really not memorable. I only remember a few songs elsewhere, and that's because of the repetition of the stages rather than the composition of the song. I mean, besides Crush 40's general great work. Don't have anything to say about the other vocal tracks, though. The graphics... I already said the colors were washed out and dull, which does not mix well with the shiny models they're still using from Sonic Heroes. And the lighting makes bright characters look disgusting. What the fuck happened to Sonic here? The visual style reeks of Rio is brown, or black and red in this case, because the game is trying way too hard to be cool. Shadow's violent and he'll kill anyone in his way. With homing attacks? No, with guns! Yep, that's the big game changer now. Shadow can pick up the weapons of enemies and the melee weapons aren't even bothering with, so it means guns. And honestly, besides their baffling inclusion at all, they work well enough. They auto-aim, they're potent, there's enough of them that ammo isn't a concern. I think it's fun to rip everyone apart with an ultra-powerful chain gun. If you're really against using a gun though, it's not the biggest deal. Shadow does still have a homing attack that works fine. He's still plenty mobile on his own aside from the globs of grease under his shoes, but they want you to use the guns with all the enemies with big health bars. Hey, at least they give you the option to kill them fast. This ain't 06. I wish I could say the vehicles were also useful, but I'll let you look at the footage and decide that one for yourself. So, with these brilliant gameplay additions at your disposal, what do you do in each level? Well, like I said before, there are multiple missions in each stage, each with a different objective. Though it usually amounts to the same two things, either make it to the gold ring in the neutral mission or kill every enemy of a certain allegiance. And there's a fucking lot of them every time that mission shows up. Because that's what Sonic games have always been known for, right? Meticulously combing each level? Actually, that's what Sonic CD was if you were going for the robot generators, wasn't it? Killing every enemy already sounds like a bad time, but it gets worse. First off, the camera sucks, the controls are reversed and there's no way to change that. Second, there's no radar, no way to tell if you're close to one of your objectives besides actually seeing it, when everything is the same color anyway. When there was a radar in pre-release versions of the game, whose idea was it to remove that feature? And third, there are a lot of levels with branching paths, and while you'll only need to go down one of them to complete your mission, and there are clues to say which one you should go down, they can be hard to spot. And if you missed something, I hope you know where it was to warp back to that general area or you're combing the whole level again. I love how during the years leading up to, including and trailing the Dark Ages, one of the constant complaints was levels taking too long to complete. This pervaded Adventure 2, Heroes Team Dark, 06, Unleashed, all the way to Lost World 3DS, and this is probably the worst example of it. Do not be surprised if a level takes you more than 10 minutes to complete because you're either walking slowly and meticulously to find everything, or you didn't and are now paying the price. Most people will say, well, just play the neutral missions if you don't want to take a long time. Well, look at that timer. Neutral mission. This is an arc mission, and that's a trigger word for anyone who's played this game before. These two levels are infamous for being mazes with a lot of repeated level structure that makes it super confusing to navigate.
If I keep my eye on men, I won't get lost.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, Shadow. Doesn't matter what you were doing, how little fun you were having, it's going to grind to a halt when you get to this level. And the worst part is, this level doesn't even have Black Arms enemies, so there's no way to raise your hero meter and no chaos control. You're doing this level the full way. By killing enemies on either side of the conflict or destroying parts of the environment, Shadow fills one of two meters at the top. The blue meter, filled by doing good deeds, grants chaos control when it's filled. In ordinary levels, it propels Shadow forward towards the goal ring, so I hope you weren't doing most of the missions in this game. In boss fights, it slows down time dramatically, which is a lot less useful than you'd think. The red meter, filled with evil things, grants Chaos Blast. Again, kinda lackluster. The real treat is that when either fills and is in the process of draining, Shadow is invincible and has infinite ammo. Pair that with a chain gun and let the bodies hit the floor. Every once in a while, Shadow will even run into a boss. And believe me when I say once in a while, I usually don't fight any on a typical playthrough. The fact that I got 2 on this recording is a miracle, though it means I skipped Eggman. Doesn't matter, none of them are very fun. Well, I kinda like Heavy Dog though, who gets reused as Blue Falcon in another stage.
Particle weapon will do gruesome things to your flesh.
Fire!
The bosses at the end of each path are poor as well, no matter who you're fighting. So, Shadow has all 7 Chaos Emeralds, proclaims as much, and whoever he just beat berates him for everything because he's been kind of a dick. Shadow says that he's Shadow, happy for the clarification, and that he's got a mission, that's who he is. Every single ending follows this exact formula. Really making it worthwhile to get all 10, aren't you, Sonic Team? Too bad you're going to need all 10 to unlock the last story, which means at least 10 playthroughs. Which means you're going to have to do the annoying missions, have to do the annoying levels, play through Westopolis 10 times. And my run for the recording was around an hour, so that's somewhere around 10 hours. I'd like to point out that in that time, you could complete Black Knight, Colors, and Generations at least. Is it worth it to go for the last story? What do you think? You get one level that looks like half the final levels in the game already, and where you have to grind enemies to fill the chaos control meter because usage is mandatory here. Story shit, who cares? Black Doom tries really badly to justify their actions in enslaving humanity, and obligatory Super Shadow. This fight's bad too. Chaos Spear has a really bad tendency of missing. Black Doom is defeated, the Eclipse Cannon destroys the Black Arms ship, and Shadow messes up that line from Adventure 2. Q Crush 40. It seems like Sega was really focusing on replayability with this one, which is the right way to make a Sonic game. Make the game fun to play instead of long to maximize the time spent, but they tried to have their cake and eat it too. It's done by giving the player a bunch to do, but nothing to find. Not alternate paths, bonus content, superform in regular levels. Instead, get all the keys in each level, get an A rank on each mission, play through the game 327 unique times to fill the library. The fuck were you thinking? What else you want me to do? Multiplayer?
No.
It's a bad game, no question about it. Almost everything about it is bad. The story, the writing, the characters, the art style, the controls, the level design, the mechanics, the bosses, the mission, the tone, the very concept, it's all misguided and wrong. I have no issue with the negative reputation this game has. Why people like Some Call Me Johnny can call this a worse game than 06. I kind of agree. But it's a guilty pleasure to me. It's just such a poorly made game in every area that I can't help but love it. Compare it to fellow Let's Be Edgy Now game, Prince of Persia Warrior Within. It's a worse game, but that's what makes it fun. Shadow is such a shallow attempt to pander to young kids by trying to be mature by their standards that it has its own charm. Warrior Within is technically solid, which makes it horrible combined with all its design shortcomings. There's a way to do bad, a system that Sonic has down. Their bad games have an appeal, a life of their own. Except Secret Rings, no one should play that. At least Shadow is controllable.
He really is a dumbass.
Is he really a dumbass?
He's the type that would pointlessly use a 4B lead in his mechanical pencil.
You're kidding, a 4B?